The ancient mountains of Appalachia hide many secrets within their misty hollows and dense forests. Among the most intriguing legends that have persisted throughout the region's history are stories of giants, enormous human-like beings said to have once roamed these hills. These tales span centuries, beginning with Native American oral traditions, continuing through early European settlement, and persisting into modern times through connections to cryptids like Bigfoot. While mainstream science dismisses such accounts as folklore or misidentifications, the sheer volume and consistency of giant-related stories from Appalachia present a fascinating study of regional mythology and its evolution. This video explores the rich tapestry of Appalachian giant lore, from ancient myths to 19th century newspaper headlines and contemporary sightings, examining both the cultural significance of these stories and the various theories proposed to explain them. Native American tribes throughout Appalachia maintained rich oral traditions that included numerous references to giant beings. The Cherokee spoke of the Nunahai, a race of immortal spirit people who lived within the mountains, some of whom were described as being much taller than normal humans. Similarly, the Shawnee and other Algonquian-speaking peoples told stories of the stone giants, fearsome cannibalistic beings who stood twice the height of ordinary men and terrorized villages. These indigenous narratives often characterized giants as either dangerous enemies or powerful nature spirits who served as guardians of sacred places within the mountains. Archaeological findings have occasionally fueled these narratives, with discoveries of unusually large bones, sometimes interpreted through the lens of these pre-existing legends, though modern science typically identifies such remains as belonging to prehistoric mammals rather than humanoid giants. According to traditional accounts, the Appalachian giants exhibited distinctive behavioral patterns that set them apart from normal humans. Many legends describe them as reclusive beings who avoided contact with regular-sized people, preferring to dwell deep within caves or in remote mountain valleys, accessible only through hidden passages. Some stories portrayed them as aggressive and territorial, attacking those who ventured too close to their domains or even raiding human settlements to steal food and supplies. Others depicted more peaceful giants who occasionally interacted with humans, sharing knowledge of medicinal plants or warning of coming disasters. A common thread in many accounts was the giants' connection to the land itself. They were often described as being able to move boulders with ease, carve out caves, or even shape the mountains, explaining certain unusual geological formations found throughout the region. The 19th century saw a proliferation of newspaper accounts claiming discoveries of giant skeletons throughout Appalachia and the Ohio Valley. Headlines such as "Giant Skeleton Unearthed in West Virginia Coal Mine" or "7-foot Human Remains Found in Kentucky Cave" became relatively common features in local papers. The Wheeling Intelligencer in 1856 reported the discovery of a human skeleton of enormous size in a burial mound near Moundsville, West Virginia, claiming it measured nearly 8 feet in length. Similar stories appeared in the Pittsburgh Dispatch, the Charleston Gazette, and numerous other regional publications. These sensational accounts typically described construction workers, miners, or amateur archaeologists stumbling upon oversized human remains, often alongside unusual artifacts. Many of these reports followed a pattern common in 19th century journalism, where exaggeration and limited scientific verification were common, and few of these supposed giant remains were preserved for later scientific examination. One of the most persistent and controversial elements of Appalachian giant lore involves claims that the Smithsonian Institution systematically collected and then concealed evidence of giant remains throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries. According to these narratives, which gained significant traction in local communities, Smithsonian representatives would arrive shortly after publicized discoveries of giant skeletons, confiscate the remains for further study, and subsequently deny their existence or reclassify them as belonging to known species. These allegations first emerged around the 1890s and have been reinforced by the notable absence of giant remains in official museum collections, despite dozens of newspaper accounts describing their discovery and acquisition. This narrative has evolved in recent decades to become intertwined with broader conspiracy theories about institutional suppression of archaeological findings that might challenge conventional historical narratives. Modern proponents of these theories often cite Freedom of Information Act requests that have failed to produce documentation of giant remains, interpreting this absence as further evidence of deliberate suppression rather than indication that such specimens never existed. The persistence of these claims reflects a deeper tension between local knowledge and institutional authority, with many Appalachian communities maintaining that their oral histories and newspaper archives preserve truths that mainstream science has actively worked to erase. The connection between Appalachian giant lore and modern Bigfoot sightings represents a fascinating evolution of regional mythology. Both phenomena share remarkable similarities. Descriptions of large, humanoid creatures avoiding human contact, inhabiting remote wooded areas, and leaving behind ambiguous evidence such as oversized footprints or unusual sounds. Some researchers suggest that contemporary Bigfoot encounters may represent modern interpretations of the same phenomena that our ancestors categorized as giants. Others propose that distinct traditions may have gradually merged, with 19th-century newspaper accounts of giants influencing how later generations interpreted unusual experiences in the wilderness. Regional cryptozoologists often point to the linguistic overlap in descriptions, noting that witnesses in Appalachian communities sometimes use terms like mountain giants or wild men interchangeably with Bigfoot when reporting sightings, suggesting a cultural continuity in how these phenomena are perceived and categorized. Modern sightings of purported giants or giant-like beings continue to emerge from the Appalachian region with surprising regularity. In 1979, a group of hikers in the Great Smoky Mountains reported encountering an abnormally tall, hairy man, estimated at over 8 feet in height, who observed them briefly before disappearing into thick underbrush. During the 1990s, multiple witnesses near the Kentucky-West Virginia border described seeing extraordinarily tall bipedal figures moving through remote hollers at dusk. More recently, in 2018, a hunter in southwestern Virginia captured blurry photographs of what he claimed was a giant man standing beside a rock formation, though skeptics argued the images merely showed a normal-sized person with distorted perspective. These contemporary accounts often blend traditional giant lore with Bigfoot characteristics, frequently describing creatures that are taller and more human-like than typical Sasquatch descriptions, but sharing the same reclusive behavior and wilderness habitat. Various theories attempt to explain the persistence of giant stories throughout Appalachian history. Skeptical explanations suggest that misidentified bears standing on hind legs, particularly large humans, or optical illusions caused by fog and low light conditions could account for many sightings. Psychological perspectives point to the power of suggestion and cultural priming, noting that people immersed in communities where giant stories are common might be more likely to interpret ambiguous experiences through this framework. Anthropologists highlight the cultural function of giant narratives, suggesting they helped early settlers make sense of ancient burial mounds and other mysterious archaeological features they encountered. More speculative theories propose that relict hominid species might have survived in isolated pockets of the Appalachian wilderness, or that certain genetic conditions causing extreme height could have been more common in isolated mountain communities, giving rise to families or individuals of unusual stature who became the basis for broader giant legends. The complex relationship between fact and folklore in Appalachian giant traditions reflects broader patterns in how communities construct and maintain cultural narratives. Throughout Appalachia's history, these stories have served various purposes, explaining natural phenomena, warning children away from dangerous areas, establishing cultural identity, and even attracting tourism to small mountain communities. The persistence of giant lore through different eras suggests its deep resonance with fundamental aspects of human psychology and social organization. Whether interpreted literally or metaphorically, these narratives reveal how closely Appalachian identity remains tied to the mysterious landscape itself, with its hidden caves, unexplored hollows, and ancient forests that seem to harbor secrets just beyond the reach of conventional understanding. The legends of giants in Appalachia represent a rich cultural tapestry woven from Native American mythology, settler experiences, 19th-century sensationalism, and contemporary cryptid encounters. While scientific evidence for actual giants remains elusive, The enduring power of these stories speaks to their importance in regional identity and their connection to the unique landscape of the Appalachian Mountains. As with many folkloric traditions, the literal truth of giant accounts may be less significant than what they reveal about human psychology and cultural adaptation to mysterious environments. Whether viewed as literal beings, misidentifications, or purely symbolic constructs, Appalachian giants continue to capture the imagination, reminding us that even in our modern, technology-saturated world, some mysteries remain hidden in the ancient shadows of the mountains, awaiting discovery by those willing to look beyond conventional explanations and engage with the rich storytelling traditions that have shaped this remarkable region for countless generations.